Angela Davis has had a long journey since her time in the Black Panther Party. I asked her how she wants to be remembered.
I've not really thought that much about an individual legacy. I'm not really concerned about people remembering me, but I do think it's important to remember that movement because the fact that I was facing the death chamber 3 times, the fact that the political environment was extremely conservative, and that people refused to believe that they could not win this fight with me. That is something I think needs to be remembered because that can be helpful.
When you think back over the journey from the Black Panther Party until now, what would you do differently?
If I knew then what I know now, I probably would not have done what I did, but it was necessary to do that at that particular historical moment. And I always like to point out that, those of us who were involved in the Black liberation movement and the anti-imperialist movement, communist movement, we really, truly believed that a revolution was possible. Yeah. And we thought it was going to happen soon because we saw this happening. We saw the Cuban Revolution. We saw the African liberation struggle all over Southern Africa. And we believed that it was possible to do that here. And I think that in a sense you always need that relationship to your goal in order to be passionate about it. People now might say we were naive, and maybe we were somewhat naive, but I think that naivete was necessary. It was a productive naivete. And this is why I think young people play such an important part in transformative movements everywhere, because oftentimes they refuse to believe that it's not possible. And I like to point out that even though we did not win the revolution we thought we were struggling for, we did bring about dramatic change. What I've come to realize over the years is that in the process of struggling for freedom, our very notion of freedom broadens and it becomes more capacious. It begins to include so much more. And perhaps that is what it's all about. Perhaps we'll never reach that end goal. As Nelson Mandela pointed out in Long Walk to Freedom, whenever he reached a point where he thought that he could stop and rest, he looked ahead and there were many, many more struggles to embrace. And Dr. King, when he went to the top of the mountain, he never told us, what he actually saw. And I would say what he saw was an infinite progression of struggles for freedom. We will never actually reach the point where we can rest.
And we'll be right back. That wraps it up for us here at Our World with Black Enterprise. Be sure to visit us on the web at blackenterprise.com. I'm Marc Lamont Hill. Follow me on Twitter, and you can friend me on Facebook. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.